Hey, this is Chuck Marshall with Wani, and I'm talking to Ian Hill from Judas Priest. Ian, how are you?
I'm just fine, thanks, Chuck. And how are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking, man. It's an honor to talk to you. Hey, so Judas Priest's 18th album called Firepower is coming out on March 9th. I had the privilege to listen to the album ahead of time. I just got to tell you, I think this is like front to back some of the strongest material you guys have done in a long time. I think it ranks right up there with, and I think it'll become an epic release like British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance. I mean, there's just so much, layered melodies and rhythms on there. It's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit?
Thanks for saying that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a great album. Can you tell me a little bit about the approach you guys took when writing this album?
The approach was pretty much the same as it always is. Glenn and Richie will have their ideas for the riffs, chord sequences, and what have you. And when they've got enough material together, they'll get together and sort of pool their ideas, if you know what I mean. And formulate, get strong song structures together. Then Rob will get involved with the lyrics to see what lyrics he's got. He's very prolific writer. He's always writing stuff down,
Yeah.
And he's generally got lyrics that'll fit with the song, or that can be made to fit, if you know what I mean. And then go on from there. Once the song structure, you've got a skeleton there, the basic ideas. That's when Scott and myself will get a copy of that, and Scott will put his drum patterns, and I'll get to know my bass lines and whatever. That'll go backwards and forwards a couple of times. And then when we all know pretty much what we're going to be doing, we'll go and hit the studio.
Awesome. So when you guys are in the studio, I mean, this time around, did you feel any difference for you for this album versus prior work?
Yes. For a couple of reasons. One, we've got a couple of producers on this album in Allom and Andy Sneap. Something that we haven't used for a long time, really. I think Atty Bauer probably for Nostradamus, and before him, I think it was Chris Tangarides with, actually it was Jugulator.
Okay, yeah.
God bless him. So that was comparatively new to us, especially having two producers. I mean, Tom Allom, his name pops up every time we mention the producer and Judas Priest in the same breath. He pops up by default.
Right.
And we asked him, Tom's been working, doing stuff in the background for us. He hasn't been redundant. He's been sort of re-engineering some of the older albums, for re-released, and we've been mixing some live stuff as well. And we asked him if he'd like to do the new album. He was absolutely over the moon, to be asked.
Ah, cool.
Having said that, we thought it might be worth getting someone who's more up to date, with modern recording techniques and what have you. And of course, Andy Sneap got a great reputation. He's been working with some great bands over the years with great results. So we approached him to see if he'd mind working with Tom, and they both agreed and got together and got to like each other, and went from there. And it's been a dream team really since then. They're both been heading in exactly the same direction. I mean, Andy's a fan of the band, and Tom's been instrumental in making some of the music that Andy's a fan of. So they all had a mutual respect there.
Awesome.
And they just got on like a bonfire, really.
That's great. Hey, so Judas Priest has been, writing music for over 40 years. Do you guys still feel a need to write music that appeals to the fans, or do you feel free to go with whatever direction best suits your individual desires as a musician?
I think we've gone with whatever we thought, really. I mean, the things aren't going to change drastically. We're all the same people, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So everything is going to be along a certain line, if you understand. We've never stopped to think, I think the fans are going to want one of these.
Right.
Or one of those or whatever. I don't think we should do this because, you know what I mean? What we have done, we've had a bunch of material, and then see which songs would make a coherent album. Some of which were, had to be left off the album, not because they're inferior quality, just because they don't particularly fit anywhere,
Yeah.
That was the case with the last album. With the Demon Souls, we had the little mini album afterwards. We thought, well, we can't discard these. they're too good for that, you know.
Right.
They had sort of an EP that came along with the album. This time round, there's 13 songs on there. I think it's 13, 14 songs.
14, yeah. Yeah, it's a
word for it. And the same thing, really.
Yeah.
We did there's been a couple of songs that haven't quite made the album. Like I say, not because it's inferior, it's just that it just wouldn't quite fit with this. You know, we'll put it on a shelf and it'll come out later on, I suppose.
Yeah, cool. So obviously, we've all been saddened by the news that Glenn Tipton won't be able to join the band on the upcoming tour due to his illness. Was there ever a consideration by you guys to either cancel the tour or reduce the span of the tour to allow Glenn to participate?
Cancel the tour for a nanosecond, we thought about it. But we've got a new album there, and we've got to go out and play these new songs to people. We really do, you know.
Yep.
So that really wasn't an option. On top of that, it had already been, the tour had been put on sale anyway, you know. It would have been a nightmare to try and cancel it at that point.
Yeah.
And Glenn, we were doing songs in the set that we thought Glenn might be able to handle, you know. We went through a similar thing before the last tour.
Yeah.
Because Glenn's been suffering with this for a long time now. And when we came round to band rehearsals the last time round, Glenn was rough to start with, you know. He was missing things.
Yeah.
As the days went on, he just improved every day. And by the end of band rehearsals, he was ready to go, you know. And he put in awesome performances on the last tour.
Yeah.
But sadly, we were into the second week, and it wasn't happening this time round. It wasn't getting any better, you know.
Right.
And he had to make that decision to admit to himself, you know, that his body wasn't going to let him do it, you know.
Yeah.
Terrible thing to do.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But having said that, immediately after that, he says, "You guys have got to carry on. You've got to go on tour." And funny enough, Andy had come down to the studio anyway. He got some effects tapes that he pulled off a new album for us. And Glenn says, "You should give Andy a try," you know.
Yeah.
So he's a great guitarist, and of course he's intimate with the new material. He's just been recording it with us, you know. He just produced it for us. And after his jaw had sort of got back off the floor, he agreed to give it a go. And I've been going up to his studio in Derbyshire, which is not far from where I live. And going through the stuff with the drummer friend of his, you know, just so he gets that sort of feel of playing it live rather than sitting in front of a computer doing it, you know. Right. And we're in good shape. We're in great shape.
Awesome.
He's sounding good.
Awesome.
I think Glenn will be proud of him, you know.
That's awesome. So,
I mean, the other thing is, Glenn's planning on coming out anyway. He's going to be doing parts of the tour when he's well enough.
Oh, cool.
He's planning on coming out and doing the odd song or two. I can't promise anything. he's got a sales pitch. I'm just saying that you know, it could happen. In fact, it will happen, but how often and when, nobody knows.
Yeah. Was there any? When Glenn was suggesting Andy, was the rest of the band immediately on board, or did you guys have to think about it for a little bit?
I think we were on board. I think it became obvious to us before it became obvious to Glenn that it wasn't going to happen, really. But we were going to give him the benefit of all doubt, and we were going to stick with it until he realised it himself, really. And I don't think we were all sort of thinking Andy'd step up to the plate, as it were, and do a decent job. I mean, he's a fan of the band as well, you know.
Well, yeah, that helps.
So he can be trusted with the band credentials, if you like. Right. This is not going to change the recognition at all with Andy. He knows what's expected of him.
Awesome. So there's recently been some statements from KK Downing saying that he would have been interested in filling in for Glenn. Was that ever considered?
Well, I don't know where Ken's coming from, to be honest. I mean, he retired. Right. He retired 7 years ago. And he made it clear at the time that he didn't want to come back, you know. And he wanted to, he was knocking, sort of music. Right. In an immediate sense on the head. So I was surprised at him saying that he was surprised that he wasn't asked. You know, I think we all thought he probably would have been surprised if we had asked him, rather than the other way around.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a bit like I don't know, your quarterback retiring. You know, you replace the guy, and then 2 or 3 years down the line, he gets injured. You're not going to come back to the guy that's just retired. You know, you find somebody else.
Yep.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So you guys are kicking off your tour with Saxon and Black Star Riders in Detroit at the end of March. I'm super excited about that because I got my tickets and I can't wait to see it.
Right.
So do you guys have any plans to do any kind of like special meet and greets with the fans along the way?
Things are tight. You know, time is always tight in a touring sort of situation. Especially our tours, they tend to be very concise and condensed. You know, we'll get out and meet people when we can. Whether that's going to be in Detroit or Wilkes Bar, I don't know. But we will when we can. You know, we appreciate our fans. Without whom we wouldn't be here, really. You know.
Yeah.
So we like to meet them when we can.
So which song off the new album are you most looking forward to playing live?
Well, the ones we're doing are probably Evil Never Dies. I think it's all those great sort of mid-tempo Priest powerhouses.
Right.
Something you can bang your head to all day. You know.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So you know, sadly, and I think slightly criminally, Priest didn't get into the fan vote for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. Were you guys at all upset by that?
Oh, not really. I mean, these things come along, and it's great when you're nominated to these things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the fans that make the difference, really. And it wasn't the fans that were voting. In fact, the fans did vote us in. You know.
Right.
We got 5th place in there, but then they decided that that didn't mean anything, and gave somebody that was way down the table. I forget who it was now. So no, we're not that. We're a little bit disappointed that we had to go through the whole process,
right?
For nothing in return. But I don't know. I don't think they like metal music. I mean, Black Sabbath. It took 8 nominations before they were inaugurated.
I know. I can't understand it. I can't understand.
I don't think we've got 8 nominations left, unfortunately. So it looks like we ain't going to make that one. The Grammy would be nice, though.
Yeah. Well, you guys are in my Hall of Fame for sure. So, Ian, I just got one last question for you. What's your favorite food to have for breakfast?
For breakfast?
Yeah.
Oh, at the moment, something light these days. I mean, I'm overweight, so you know. I mean, my favourite breakfast is probably a complete fry-up. You know. Yeah. The hot stop of breakfast. But these days, it's some kind of cereal with some fruit on it and a bit of milk, and that's about it.
All right. Well, Ian, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. It's an honor.
Okay, Chuck, it's been a pleasure.
All right. See ya.
Okay, bye-bye for now, mate.
That's it.
All the best, bye.